Welcome to another edition of On Oshkosh. I'm your host, Cheryl Hentz, and very happy tonight to be talking with two lovely ladies from the Oshkosh Public Library. We're going to be talking about all the various programming that the library has to offer during the upcoming summer months. So to my left, we have Marie Boleman. Marie's been on the show before. She came with Cat in the Hat last time, and I had a lovely picture taken with him. But Marie is head of our Children's and Family Outreach Department at the library. And then to my right is someone new to the show, but hopefully it won't be her only appearance here, Maggie Mueller. She's the Teen Services Librarian. So thanks so much, guys, for being here. It's always a pleasure to talk with folks from the library. And, you know, this is summer, not officially yet, but
close enough.
Yep. So your summer programming has started. And I think it kicked off, the summer reading program started May 29th already, right?
Yep.
Okay. So tell us about the program. It started May 29th and it goes through August 24th, is that right?
25th.
25th,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the press release was wrong.
So for a number of years now, we've been having reading challenges in the summer for all ages. So we've got, you know, a special one for the kids, the teens, and the adults. And this year we started a new thing with adults where when we have our summer reading kickoff, which we had this last Tuesday, kids will come down and sign up and read for 20 minutes and get a pool pass for the Pollock Water Park. Okay. Teens can now do that. I'm sorry that it's already passed, but what I'm trying to emphasize is adults were able to take part in that as well this year.
Sure.
And we opened up the dome, we had people downstairs, we had an Elvis impersonator. It was a big party for everybody. Sure. And we are trying to create a culture of reading. And I think that it worked really well. People had a good time.
Sure, sure.
Oh, but you wanted to know about the reading program and how it works. So
sure.
Let me start with the kids. You know, of course, that's the big draw every year for families. And in addition to having a reading challenge for the kids in which they read for 20 minutes or more every day to get that reading habit in. And then this year they're building reading necklaces, and they're really cool because they're those ball chain necklaces like you have on the pen at the bank, so people don't tell them or steal them. And then one week they'll get a choice from a coupon bucket for a free pizza or a Timber Rattlers game or whatever else we can dig up. And then at week 6, they're going to get a free book as well. So I did forget to mention that the theme this year is Libraries Rock. So
Libraries Rock.
Got a rock and roll theme. And the teen program, Maggie has details.
Sure. So the teen program, we play bingo. So when the teens sign up, they get a bingo card, and each square has some sort of trait or characteristic of a book. And of course, the goal is to get bingo 5 in a row. And once they do that, they get a lot of prizes. So they get to pick out a prize right away. And we have things like gift certificates and coupons for free food. We've got lots of posters and books and earbuds. They also get to enter into a raffle prize drawing. So those are bigger prizes that they can choose whatever they want to enter for. But we've got things like signed books by authors. We've got some video games. We've got some gift certificates to the movie theater. And then they also get an entry into the grand prize drawing. So at the end of the summer, someone is going to win a $100 Visa gift card.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, you've got is that a sample of what the bingo card looks like?
So that is the teen bingo card, the first one.
Okay.
They can do up to 3 during the summer.
All right. And so they get a place on here by doing what? By answering a question right, or by reading a book, or how?
Yeah, so there's lots of different categories. So if they read a book with green on the cover, they can mark off that square.
I see. Okay, so for folks at home and those who are listening to us on the radio, there's different things here, like under B, a book with music, a book recommended by someone else, a book with a face on the cover, a book with more than 300 pages, a funny book, that kind of thing. And there's that way for everything from B through O. And I think this is a really cool idea. Now, who came up with this?
I've seen it at other libraries, and it actually was going on when I came into this position.
Really?
So I'm not sure who started
Wow.
it at our library.
Well,
the adults were doing it.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I certainly hope that the kids doing this have better luck than I do playing bingo at the casino.
Well, they get to pick and choose,
So-
so it's pretty easy.
We could all win that way, right?
Yes, that's the point. We want them to win.
Okay, so that is a neat program. What else do you guys have going on?
The adults also can.
Yes.
They can enter the reading program just by coming in and asking for a bingo card.
Okay.
They have
And-
a simpler bingo version. They only
Right.
have to get 3 in a row for adults.
But they can hang on to this and do blackout with it. And
Okay.
for every bingo they get, there's a list of what they at the back about
Yeah,
what they
I'm just
can
gonna-
get.
I know that you can't really see this or zoom in on it.
And then they can be entered for a grand prize as well. I'm
And
not
what's
sure what that
theirs?
is going
Oh,
to be
we don't
this
know?
year.
Okay.
I'm not
Last year,
sure.
I think it was free membership to the Paint Art Center.
was.
So it'll be something good.
Oh,
It'll be
very
something
much.
good.
That is good. And for the kids, again, it's $100 Visa.
It's a gift card.
Prepaid Visa card, so that's good. So drop in and read. That's something that, now we're taping this on June 7th. This kicked off, drop in and read kicked off on Tuesday,
Yes.
2 days ago.
Yeah, it was very well attended. We had about 500 people.
Wow.
Again, it was all ages in the dome and in the children's area. And families came in and everybody signed up. Adults got bingo cards as well. And we like to encourage parents to have their kids see them reading.
Sure, yeah.
The great thing
That
about
happened.
drop in and read too is the benefit is you can read off your library fines. So anybody who read for 20 minutes at the library got what we call a B fine free card, and then we'll take away any late fines that they have on their card.
Do you find
And
that,
that-
a lot with the people incur late fines or late
I
fees?
work at the library and I get late
I
fines.
have had late fines.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people have the attitude that what better place to pay your
Sure,
late
yeah.
fines, so they don't seem to mind at
Yeah.
all.
All right.
It's not bad. The fines are not bad at our library. They're pretty darn low. But kids can take advantage of the Be Fine Free, kids and teens, throughout the entire summer. They can earn that card once anytime in the summer, and then they need to use it by the end of August.
Okay, all right.
They also get free bus rides. I don't want to forget to plug
Wow.
that.
Yes.
Kids
Well,
and teens
and that's a great
show
way
their
for the kids to
library
get
card
there.
to the bus driver, and then when they get to the library, they get a return ticket to go home again.
But that's just for kids?
Kids and teens.
Okay, so adults,
Yeah.
if they want to get to the library, they have to pay whatever that small fee is, I guess?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay.
You need
Sorry.
to call Jeff.
Jeff being the director, the executive
Thank you.
director of the public library, and he's doing a
love me for
fine
that.
job. What else do you lovely ladies have for us?
Okay, well, so there's all kinds of things going on besides just the reading programs.
Oh,
Hope
yes.
you guys can still hear me.
That slid down. We may have to adjust that, but let's keep an eye on it.
Okay. So I'll start again with the kids.
Sure.
And there's so many things that I forget unless I have something here that lists everything. So in addition to some of the regular programs that we don't want to take away from families that have gotten used to them, we have fabulous family story times on Mondays, some high hope story times for kids under 3. We're still going to have our Lego brick by brick program. There's more slots to sign up and read with a dog. We started something new called Smart Starts Playstations that we have every couple of months. And this is an early literacy, tactile, sensory kind of program that you can drop in and try out different activities, things that you can replicate at home.
Sure. So let me just stop you for a second because I want to focus in a little bit here on what some of these are. I heard you say read to a dog, and I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the Read to a Dog program, but it's, for kids who maybe are a little reluctant to read or struggling to read.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is one of the big draws for it, is that it really relaxes kids and they don't feel so nervous about trying to do the decoding.
Well, right, and the other thing about dogs is, I'm all about dogs and I work in dog rescue and all this kind of stuff, but the thing with a dog is they're not going to be judging you.
Absolutely.
You just sit there and you just read to the dog. The dog just probably lays there, maybe puts his head on your leg, or just sits up against you or lays up against you, and it's just a relaxing kind of thing. So I guess I was under the impression that the Read to a Dog program goes on during the school year, when the kids are actually in school and doing more reading.
We have
but it
a
goes
few
on
sessions in the
too?
summer as well, because
Okay.
it's so popular.
Sure.
Kids are very enthusiastic about it.
How many dogs on average do you have that come to this?
I think we have a total of 5 or 6 dogs,
Okay.
and they aren't all always there every time, but
Sure. Yeah.
about 3 come each time.
And just so people know, like if they have a dog and they think, oh, this would be cool, I'd like to be involved with this, there are certain criteria that the dog has to meet, correct?
Yep, they'll have to pass certain tests, and I'm not sure who we use in the area. I don't coordinate the program, but it's someone who can test and check off if you've passed all the things. So
Yeah.
sometimes dogs can go to prisons or to nursing homes, and they're therapy dogs.
Yeah, and that criteria may be different. It may be a little more stringent than this. I'm not sure. Maybe they're the same kind of criteria, but it's basically they're looking for dogs that are relaxed, not hyper, not going to be biting or upset around children, and some dogs are. I'm sometimes upset around little kids. So, I don't bite anybody, but, let's be real about it.
Glad to know that.
So, it requires a certain type of, I guess, temperament with the dogs. I think, are we probably having a problem with the microphone here? Or, okay, I guess we're fine.
Great.
But we are going to continue to keep an eye on it. So, and then reading readiness now, or reading necklaces, I'm sorry, you talked a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, I guess I kind of glazed over that. So like I said, they're those ball chain necklaces.
Right.
And after their first week of reading, they can check in, they get the chain to start it out, and we've got all kinds of different beads that they can pick from, and they get to pick out one each week to keep on building. And this year we've got a bunch of metallic ones that are pretty awesome looking. Sure. And we have every 3 or 6 weeks, or every so often, you will also get a brag tag. And that's basically a dog tag. Some of them are cut in a special shape. One is cut like a guitar, and they say things like reading monster or something about reading or the Oshkosh Library, and you can add those on.
Sure.
So you can only get them at the Oshkosh Public Library.
Really?
And then you'll have those to keep forever, yeah.
How did you guys get that little perk?
So one of our children's librarians, Adeline, I don't know where she came up with the idea, I have to admit, but I loved it when she brought it to my attention.
Well, sure.
So.
And the fact that it's unique to Oshkosh, to the Oshkosh Public Library, I think, is something else that's really
I always
cool.
tell the kids, wear them to school next fall, and your teachers will know that you've been reading.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
That's motivating for some.
Very good. Kick off with the King. That also started 2 days ago, as we're taping this on June 7th. That was just that one night, is that correct?
It was, but we do have a couple of other all-ages concerts coming up.
Okay.
So there's a group called Friction Farm that'll be up in the Dome. They're a modern folk duo, and that's for anybody who wants to come. The other one is the 5 Milers, and they're described as perfect for fans of John Denver, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the Kingston Trio.
Okay, folk music.
So,
yep, for sure.
And of course, everything that we do is no charge.
Okay. And there are some other things here. I'm just kind of looking, kind of scanning this. Coating with Ozobots?
Maggie can tell you about that.
Ozobots, okay.
Sure.
Help me out.
So Ozobots, they're fun toys, but they're educational. They're these little miniature robots,
Okay.
and they're an introduction to coding, so computer language. So they move around by following lines. So all you just can draw with a marker, and it'll follow the path, and it'll do different things based on different colors. And you can also do different combinations of colors. So you could do like red, blue, red, and then it will go super speed, or it will do a tornado spin.
How does it know to do that?
computer language. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
It reads it somehow.
This is why I'm not a techie. and so what do the kids do then? They make the drawing? Or?
Yeah, so we've got lots of different, like when we first introduced the kids to the Ozobots, we just give them a blank piece of paper and have them draw lines and let them play around with it and see what they do. And then we introduce them to the color code. So we introduce that, red, blue, red will go fast, or blue, green, blue will go backwards. So then they get to play around with that. And then we give them challenges too. So they have a starting line and an ending line, and they have to figure it, whatever code they need to put in to make it go the right path. So it's a lot of fun.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds fun even for me.
So, and if you don't mind, that relates to another kind of techie one we're doing,
Sure.
Makey Instruments.
Okay.
I think a lot of people have probably heard of Makey now, but it's basically a conduit that you can put in just about anything, Play-Doh or food or water, and make different tunes with it. So it's another, I don't know if I'd call it coding, would you? But it's using technology to make the song.
To do something.
That's pretty fun.
Something creative.
We're also going to be making volcanoes on a couple of different occasions.
I saw that on here.
So that kind of all relates to STEM stuff. I thought I'd mention it.
Well, and let's face it, that STEM stuff that's kind of what's trending right now. That's all the rage. That's what kids are being taught in school, is those main subjects to better prepare them for when they get out of school, when they go to college, what have you. I just want to talk a little bit more. There's family game night every Thursday in August.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
This is the first year we're trying that, and we're trying again to get families and all ages in. So on 2 of the nights, there's going to be Name That Tune, which fits with Libraries Rock.
Sure.
And the other 2 nights is going to be a Family Feud style, but still related to music.
Absolutely.
Type stuff. And people can either enter as an actual family or get a bunch of your friends together and register to be on a team.
There's family comedy shows, rock painting, and something, it says, new Wit for Girls Club.
Sure. Yeah. So that is something that is actually in some of the schools already. So Wit for Girls is a program where we introduce children to jobs that have something to do with the technology or computer field. And we focus on girls because for some reason girls seem to think that they're not good enough or they're not smart enough at technology. And we want them to change their minds about that. So every week we introduce a job that has something to do with one of those fields, and then we do a project that somehow relates to that, so they can see if it's something that they're naturally good at, if it's something that interests them. So some of those things that we take apart and put together a computer.
Yeah.
We're planning a pizza party for the end of the program. So those are all skills that are needed in those jobs.
Sure. And then the entire summer event will wrap up, the Libraries Rock will wrap up with Friends of the Library at their summer block party on, now again, this is August 24th, but you're saying that's August 25th?
Well, it's Saturday, whatever that is. I think it's 25th.
The block party is the 24th.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah, so that's a Friday night. Yes.
Okay.
And then, but Saturday is technically the last day of the program, the 25th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have an announcement to make that didn't get in here, and I don't know if you heard it, but we're getting the Britons to be our band at that, and they do Beatles songs.
Oh, okay.
And
I've
I think
heard of
they
these
even
people.
dress like the Beatles.
Yes.
They're out of Milwaukee, so we were lucky to get them because they've got a lot going on this summer.
Sure,
so.
sure. And so they'll be there on the 24th.
Yes.
That's Saturday night.
Friday
And-
night.
I'm sorry,
Friday
Friday night.
Sorry.
Thank you, Maggie. We both agree, yes.
And what time is that at?
The whole thing goes from 4 to 7. I don't know
4
what
to
time
7,
the band is going to play in that. I'm sure it'll be on our website, or people can call as we get closer.
Sure.
And there'll be a raffle, a $100 downtown gift card raffle, and I think a 50-50 raffle.
Okay. And food, of course.
Food trucks.
And with food trucks come things to drink and so forth. And then it says, and more, to raise money for the 2019 summer reading program. So you guys are already thinking ahead to next year, which is good, planning ahead. Anything else in our remaining few minutes that you guys want to talk about with respect to the library, what it has to offer in general to, families and kids in particular? Anything that you'd like to share? Because I know you got a lot of material here.
Right.
And I want
I
to make
was
sure that
gonna
we touch on everything.
talk about a couple other programs in addition to the regular ones that we're having in the summer. The Zoomobile is going to be there, and we'll bring some live animals. Randy Peterson will be there. He's been very popular every year. We like having him back. Tom Pease will be another one. And this is all aimed at children, the ones I'm talking about now. The Magic of Laughter with Jeff McMullen and Miller and Mike, who do magic and humor. They were clowns with the Barnum and Bailey circus in the past, so they're very good.
Sure. The Zoomobile with live animals. What kind of live? I mean, I guess I'm not.
It's going to be a little bit of a surprise because
right.
they say on their website, and it makes sense that they never know for sure like how each animal is going to be on that day, and so they have to pick the ones that
makes sense.
seem like they're ready to go out
So
and
is it
about.
our Zoomobile from our zoo, or does this come from some other place? Whose Zoomobile is it? Do we know?
You know, I'm
stumped
embarrassed.
you.
I'm embarrassed again.
No, that's
Adeline
fine.
coordinated this.
Okay.
And I know there's one in Appleton.
Okay.
And I don't know which one it is that's going to be coming.
Okay. So the animals will be a surprise.
Yeah, but which ones it will be.
All right. And again, I just want to say that for people who are listening to us on the radio, the Oshkosh Public Library's website is oshkoshpubliclibrary.org. ORG, and you know there's tons and tons of information there on pretty much anything that you want to know about what the library is, what it does, and how you can be more involved in it and its programming. So
Our Overdrive website continues to see good use, so that's digital books, digital audio books, a few movies, and we are now getting Hoopla as well, which kind of supplements the collection that we have.
Sure.
And they've got a good selection of graphic novels as well.
Okay, all right. Wonderful. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. I don't think we sometimes do this often enough, but I know we did it last year because I remember Cat in the Hat. So, but, we need to make sure that we're making a commitment to do it each year. So, thank you for everything that you guys do at the library.
Right.
So
Thanks
We
for
enjoy
having
it.
us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for having
you.
us.
So again, contact Oshkosh Public Library if you've got questions, or just go to their website, oshkoshpubliclibrary.org. We are going to take a very short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about storm preparedness for the upcoming summer months. We will be right back.
It's not a charity, it's more than a charity. It's about helping people we live with. It's about being the type of person that the 6-year-old version of ourselves wanted us to be. It's about community and looking out for one another. It's about money, yes, but it's so much more than money. It's about friendship and common values. It's about opening doors when others are slammed shut. It's about giving kids a place to be kids and growing up knowing they live in a community that cares about them. It's about making sure that everyone gets to see the dentist, because we want to make sure that they have every last tooth in those smiles. Ultimately, that's it. It's about the smiles, old smiles and new smiles. It's about us, all of us, our community living united, because great things happen when we live united. Will you join us?
Oh no, did I miss the exit?
Hey pal, you look a little lost.
What?
You know your smartphone has GPS, don't you?
Yeah, but I'm driving right now.
Let's text your sister to see if she's texting. Okay, look, I'll help. I've got a map. Okay.
I am done with this distraction.
Not my hairdryer. Hey, no! That's distracting. Okay, Uncle.
Focus on driving, not the distractor.
Find me a new driver.
Get lost.
Welcome back to the second half of On Oshkosh. Cheryl Hentz here again, and welcoming back someone who hasn't been on in a couple of years, Linda Kollmann. Linda is our Winnebago County Emergency Management Director, and I think it's been a few years probably since you've been here.
It has, yes, and I'm happy to be back here to promote weather safety.
And we really should do, I said this to the library folks, we really should do this more often as well, because summer storms, they can be punishing on Wisconsin and, the Fox Valley and so forth. And people have to be prepared. They have to know what to do, because we don't know what kind of storms we may have, and we don't know how soon they're going to pop up. We don't know where exactly they're going to affect us. And people have to be prepared. And so that's one of the reasons that I thought this would be a good segment to do is, before we get full into the summer months. I know the sirens started being tested back, at the end of April, I think, something like that?
It was a little later this year because, unfortunately, we had a long winter.
Yeah.
So we pushed it back as much as we could before we felt that, it's time to start working on those sirens again to make sure they're operational.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a little later this year.
Yeah, but, it's more than just listening for the sirens.
It is. And, I think people in Oshkosh are under the misconception that you should wait to go to the basement till you hear a tornado siren in your community. And they're also misinformed that you're supposed to hear them in your house because, in fact, those are outdoor warning sirens. Those are for people who are at parks or out for a walk or on a playground. They're not intended to hear in your home. There are so many other methods now because technology is crazy.
It's great.
Yes, it is.
And I definitely want to talk about that because there are so many different ways that we have to be informed and to get weather alerts. So the first thing, let's talk about the weather sirens, or as I grew up knowing them, tornado sirens, and I think that's what most people probably still call them. They're, as you said, outdoors. They're tested at noon on Saturday throughout, April to October?
We usually go till October. Again, it's weather dependent.
Yeah. And so they go off at noon every Saturday, and so people become used to hearing them. But if they go off at another time, what exactly should people be doing when they hear them?
If the siren does go off not at 12 noon on a Saturday, that hopefully we're not having a siren malfunction. We do work on our sirens throughout the week, so there may be times you'll hear one siren activate. However, if a siren goes off, it means just severe weather, usually tornado. The National Weather Service places us under a tornado warning, which means you need to take cover, not go out on your porch, see what's heading your way. I know a lot of people like to do that, but it's not wise to do that. If we have winds in excess of 90 miles per hour, we may sound the sirens as well. Those are strong enough to cause significant damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Gee,
we
60 miles an hour will cause bad damage and branches to come off trees and so forth. So I can't imagine what 90 would do.
I think, and it was before I was in this office, but it might have been 2000 or 2001. We had a significant windstorm, a duration.
2001.
Yep, and that we had a lot of tree damage, if a lot of people recall. And
Yes.
those are the type of storms that you don't go outside and look. You get in your basement, you take cover, and take a weather radio with you or a regular radio and keep informed.
I remember that storm so clearly because I was working for a newspaper, and I was down in the town of Menasha, which is now called
Village of Fox Crossing.
Village of Fox Crossing. And that is so weird for me to get used to saying that as opposed to the town of Menasha. But, so I went to look outside for something, and I could see the sky getting darker and darker, and I thought, this isn't good, and I think I'm bailing on this meeting right now. And I got in my car, and I started heading down 41, and honest to God, Linda, it looked like the storm clouds were almost chasing me. And I just got home in the garage and in the front door, and it just hit like fury has, I don't know what else to say about it. It was just horrific. And it was pounding, and my power was out for, I think, 5 days.
Yeah, a lot of people had power issues. We did as well. And that's another preparedness item that needs to be discussed, especially during severe weather season. Make sure that you have backup power. Make sure your cell phones are charged fully before the power goes out or before storms approach. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. Have a family preparedness kit in your basement, and your prescription, copies of your prescriptions. If your house gets damaged and your prescriptions are gone, you know, sometimes it's hard to get prescriptions refilled if your pharmacy is not available. So there's a lot of things you can do to be prepared for severe weather, and I recommend people to go to readywisconsin.gov. There's a ton of preparedness tips on that, as well as ready.gov, the national site. But Wisconsin has its own site, and it's very informative.
So again, that was readywisconsin.gov, or what's the other one?
Ready.gov.
Ready.gov.
Yep.
Okay, both very good. And you know, with smartphones today, and I know that some people still have, you know, the old-fashioned flip phones or whatever, but most people, I would venture to say, have smartphones. And there are so many different apps that you can put on there. All your prescription information can be in an app. You know, you can have weather alerts coming to your smartphone. You know, I don't know that, I suppose you can set it up for an automatic alert that sounds a certain way. You know, we've got all these different sounds on our stuff, you know.
Well, there is, and I
so-
don't think many people know this. You know, you get an Amber Alert on your phone. Have you ever received one?
Oh, yes, and silver alerts.
Yes.
For elderly people who wander away.
Amber Alerts you don't register for. They automatically happen on your phone unless you turn your alert function off on your cell phone. FEMA has this now for tornado warnings. So if you're driving, let's say, in a county or another state, if you drive into where there's a tornado warning, your phone will automatically activate like it would for an Amber Alert with a very loud tone, and it'll tell you that you are entering a tornado warning or you are in a tornado warning. I think it's one of the better things that FEMA has done in the last, I don't know how many years, because it has worked for people I know who have traveled over the United States. Their phone does activate. Again, it's nothing you have to register for. It's automatic as long as you have your alerts turned on your cell phone. There's also, at the county, we have a program called Alert Sense, and there's a couple of reasons why it's so good. First of all, if you want to receive emergency texts or information about a situation, let's say we have a chemical spill in a certain area and we need to evacuate, we can, at the 911 center, we can call every hardline telephone within this district, or this circumference that we choose, or this polygon. And every hardline telephone will get a call. Now, we know a lot of people don't have hardlines anymore, me included, but you can self-register your cell phone. And this one you do have to register. It's not an automatic, and it's on the county website under emergency management. You'll see Get Notified. Click on that, register your cell phone. You can get emergency alerts, also weather alerts.
Sure.
You can sign up for what you'd like.
And there is that website address up there right now. So, and then, you know, I know we don't have these other ones up, but I will just repeat them a couple of times, readywisconsin.gov and ready.gov. So the weather radios, now you brought one, and I have a couple at home. I have one, we have 2 levels, so I have one on each level. Then we have one in the garage in case we're outside, just in case the weather sirens
Don't work.
Yeah, that's right.
you know, you have to be
leave
prepared
nothing
that
to
way.
chance,
That's
right, Linda? So, but ours don't look like these, and I'm sure that they change styles and colors over the years, but they all kind of work the same way. So why don't we talk about how they work and why people should have one and where they can get one?
Absolutely. This is just as a brand that we have at the Sheriff's Office. Our office, Emergency Management, does sell some. We have a few left this year. You can pick them up Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, or you can pick them up, I think, at your local retailers like your Walmarts, your Fleet Farms, things like that. They carry them as well. What is so great about a weather radio, I have air conditioning in my house, so when it's midnight, that air conditioning, and it's hot out, which is usually requires that for storms, the windows are closed, the air conditioning's on, and I'm sleeping. And there's no way I would hear a tornado siren. It is, you know, maybe about a quarter mile away from my house. Absolutely no way it would wake me up. This alarm, we have ours in our bedroom, so it does wake us up. and it will wake you up, and it'll startle you, as I'm sure you know.
As long as you have the volume turned up, yeah.
Yes, and it'll you can have it go off for well, it does go off for watches and warnings, and that I think is so valuable, because I'm a deep sleeper, and I know a lot of people are, and this will definitely wake you up and let you either get on your phone, quick look at your radar, see what's going on, or go turn on your television. So these are, we call them like your smoke alarms for your homes. These will get you critical information when you need it, and it'll wake you up. There's for people who are hard of hearing, there are attachments that you can buy at different electronic stores that they can rattle your bed, you put under your mattress, things like that. If you don't get good, they say that you put them by a window, so to make sure you get good reception. In very few cases, people have had to get an external antenna and put it on their house. But they're great, and I recommend everyone to have one.
What do they cost?
We sell them for $24.90. That's no tax, because we're not going to make a profit.
Right.
This is cost for us. I've seen them anywhere between $27, and you can get some really expensive models, but you just want a basic, you don't need the big ones.
Yeah, sure. And and they, as long as you have them turned up, like I said, that volume, if you have it up, you don't even have to have it as high as it goes. You just have it maybe halfway or 3/4 of the way. It's going to wake you up.
Yep.
As long as you're not one of these people who sleep with earbuds in their ears and, white noise going in those earbuds. But even that, I think, if you have it all the way up, you'd probably still hear it.
Yep.
But they're invaluable to have.
Absolutely.
And they can be lifesavers for sure. Now, if, I'm one of these freaks who likes to be prepared for everything. And it's
I
hard,
like that.
and it's hard to be prepared for everything.
Yeah, it is.
So I even have, because we have 2 levels and we have dogs, I have, by the going downstairs, I have leashes, I have water and food bowls, and we are set. And if something like a siren goes off, or they say, you need to take shelter now, down we go, and the leashes go with us, because you can't hold on to a bunch of dogs by their collars if there's something serious going on. But you can hold on to a bunch of leashes. I say a bunch, we've only got 3, but
That's a bunch.
it's a bunch to you. But so, and a couple of them you can actually tether to you, so that way your hands are still free. That's just me, but I want to be able to think about other things. And maybe part of that comes is because, have you been around here forever? Are you a townie?
I am a local, yes.
So do you remember the tornado that came through here in April of 74?
I do.
My house was,
it was hit.
It was hit.
Okay.
I was living at home still. I wasn't an adult yet, but, that hit our house. It didn't damage it like you would see some homes damaged, but there was enough damage. And so I learned from that. And
you want to know what's interesting about that storm? I was a young girl, and my parents were in a bowling tournament at T&O Bowling Lanes on Oregon Street. And the tornado struck, and we had no idea, and everybody was bowling through the whole thing.
You had no idea it was coming?
No, and that's scary.
Yeah.
And so now with these cell phone alerts that you can get, that's the best thing you could do. If a business wants to make sure that their clients are all doing well, make sure you have NOAA weather radios in your place of business as well.
Absolutely. Now, if people are outside at a ball game or on the water or whatever, if you're on the water, I think you can probably see that something's brewing. But if you're at a ball game or I don't know what else, whatever
Country
you could,
USA, Rock
there
USA,
you go, whatever
EAA,
you could be
Life,
doing, whatever you might be doing outside, golfing, what have you.
You bet.
If you hear the weather sirens, those tornado sirens, what do you do to go take cover? I think people get very confused about that sometimes.
And it because the message has changed over the years as well. First of all, you want to look for shelter if you can find shelter. If you can't, your next best option is to go in your vehicle and buckle in and duck underneath your dash if you cannot drive out of whatever the situation you are in. And that's from the Red Cross and the National Weather Service message. They say that if you are airborne, then your airbag should deploy and help lessen the impact. Years ago, they would say go in a ditch. That is still another option, but over the years, they have determined that water fills up in ditches and people also get hurt or unfortunately killed that way as well. So they said the next, if you can't find shelter, then it is to get in your vehicle and buckle in. Do not go under an overpass. That years ago, I remember that was the message.
Yeah, that was.
No, that becomes like a little bit of a wind tunnel when you're under there. So they say do not park underneath an overpass. If you can drive away from the storm, drive. Otherwise, buckle in.
Yeah. What about going to the southwest corner of the home? That always used to be, you go to the southwest corner of your basement. Is that still true?
No, it's not. I know. I remember that too. And also crack your windows open a little.
Yeah.
No.
So you're not supposed to necessarily open your windows.
No. Or they say get under something sturdy. So if you have a table or a bathroom in your basement that doesn't have any windows around it, those are the places you want to go. We have people who don't have basements or live in a trailer. Again, try to find a permanent shelter somewhere. If you can't, you need to get in the bathroom or the center of your house if you don't have a basement where there isn't any windows, and then duck and take cover.
Sure. They're scary. Storms like that really are. And, some of the people that I know or are friends with, they're like, I was talking to one night, and the tornado sirens had gone off, and the weather alerts were coming across the television. And I said, I'm going to go. We're going to head to the basement. Really? That's nothing. I said, well, I'm going to the basement, so I'll talk to you later. And I got off the phone, and we went to the basement. Maybe that's foolish, but I feel that I want to be as safe as I can possibly be. And if I've got people telling me, you need to take shelter now, then I'm going to take shelter now.
I heard a interesting study that was done in Joplin, Missouri, when they had that huge tornado that went through. And same thing, where the sirens were going off and the alerts were on TV, and people decided to go outside to see what was coming instead. Those lives were lost. They did a study on that and how many people took action when the tornado warning sirens went off or their televisions went off. And a lot of people didn't take that action and then unfortunately lost their lives. So I know you're curious. Everybody wants to grab a picture and put it on social media.
Yeah.
What good is it if you're not going to survive? So get in your basements, and especially teach your kids that. I'm sure you don't want to, if you have children, you don't want to teach them at an early age to get out and take pictures or take a look.
Yeah, I know. And, and then sometimes we have people who are trying to cover these storms as photojournalists, as reporters, and unfortunately, like just last week, there was, I forget what state it was in, but there was that weather person and or a regular news reporter and his photographer for a TV station that, a tree came down on their vehicle and they were both killed instantly.
And that is always a concern. We actually have trained weather spotters that go through the National Weather Service training. We offer that training free every single year. It's usually held at EAA, but they're ham radio operators, and they go out to certain spots of the county, and we position them specifically in areas we know that they'll have a good sight advantage of what's heading their way, but also where they're safest. So when a storm approaches, we know where to put them so that they're fine. They've had training, and our law enforcement officers that are out there and our firemen, our volunteer firemen, they've all gone through the training and they know what to do and how to stay safe. So, there's people out there that are telling you there's something coming. Get in the basement.
It's that old adage, Linda, better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
And I think it's most fitting for situations like this. If I'm going downstairs and it's not necessary, oh well, I've got a TV down there. I can kick back on the couch and watch the TV. I don't have to stay upstairs, but at least I'm going to be safe.
And probably comforting your dogs, because usually dogs get a little nervous and excited during storms as well.
Yeah, they're not too good in storms, but
a lot of them aren't. And don't forget them during, this is, I think, might be today or this week, is heat awareness. And a lot of times people forget about pets during these heat, very hot days. And we've already experienced them here in Winnebago County.
Yeah.
Make sure you're giving your pets water and make sure they're out of the sun. Don't leave them in vehicles with the windows closed.
Oh, God, no. Even with the windows cracked.
Yeah.
It doesn't do any good in this
No.
kind of heat. Even I think it's even in temperatures of 65 or 70 that you would think would be very comfortable. Dogs' bodies and their respiration is different.
Yeah.
And that car can heat up so quickly and they can die, and babies too. Not just dogs,
Right.
but little children too, babies and young children. So, yeah, you're right. It's best to be thinking about them as well as taking care of ourselves. Of course, there's more than just tornadoes. Tornadic activity is, of course, a big one in our state during these months. But with severe storms can come some pretty heavy rain. And you were talking earlier about the rain that came, I want to say maybe 2008, something like that, where we had a 500-year storm here. And so much was flooded. And so, of course, that came with some severe weather and brought all this rain. But how do you keep safe when you're having flooding to that extent?
Actually, it is the 10-year anniversary. I think it was June 11th, so we are almost there, or it is this week at least in the state of Wisconsin, the 10-year anniversary of those devastating floods. 50% of Oshkosh was impacted, and yes, you need to stay safe, and we try to get the message out as much as we can. Make sure your sump pumps are in working order. Water is on the streets; they're going to rise quickly. There was so many stories out there of South Park and fish going down the street, and I was at our in our 911 center monitoring, and I didn't get all of that. I remember Highway 41 was closed for a period of time. They say the saying is, "Turn around, don't drown." Don't try to drive through water. So many people, their vehicles were permanently damaged after the floods as they were trying to drive through that.
Well, and it doesn't take much water, Linda, to sweep a car away.
Correct.
We all think, okay, these cars are 3,500 pounds or whatever, but it only takes a few inches of water to make a car hydroplane. And what is it, about 6 inches of water to actually sweep it away, something like that?
That could be. I'm not familiar with that statistic, but it wouldn't surprise me. I do know one of the lessons I think our community learned on that from those floods is having proper insurance. We had a lot of people who did not have sewer backup insurance. And unfortunately, that was the case in this community. We had our storm system couldn't handle all the water. I think over the period of time, we had close to 11 inches of rain within that whole period. I mean, we can't handle that.
Yeah.
Most communities can't. So the people learn the hard way that if you don't have that type of insurance, there's also flood insurance. And if you don't live in a floodplain, you can still get flood insurance. And it's cheap. It's not expensive at all. If you live in a floodplain, it is going to cost you a little bit more money. But in some mortgage companies require that you do have flood insurance if you're going to have a mortgage for your home. But talk to your agents and make sure you have the right coverage. Get that rider on there for sewer backup. So many people learn lessons, and we learned, and in my home, we learned the lesson prior to the floods. We did have sewer backup, and a good portion of our basement, which was finished, was damaged, and we had to pay to get it fixed. So we did get that coverage.
So sewer backup coverage.
Rider, yep.
A rider, sewer backup riders. And so for folks listening to us on the radio, again, that's sewer backup riders on your insurance
Yes,
policy.
that and flood insurance
Flood
and
insurance,
renter's insurance. If
Oh,
you
God,
don't
yes.
have renter's insurance, you need to do that.
Yeah, and that too is not expensive at all. It's
No.
probably about $100 a year, and I mean, that's a few beers a month. Is really in terms of, because I know a lot of students don't carry renter's
No, they
insurance.
don't.
They don't think about it. And some of them think that, oh, well, I'm renting. My landlord's insurance will cover me. No, it's going to cover the structure that you live in.
Correct.
But that's it. It's not going to cover your personal belongings.
And
so,
a lot of people learned that lesson as well during the floods of 2008.
yeah.
It was a lot of lessons.
there's so many unknowns, Linda, that come with weather. And how do you guys in your office, which I think you guys do an amazing job, first of all.
Well, thank you.
But how do you even begin to prepare for the onslaught of whatever Mother Nature is going to throw at us?
Heavy sigh there. We have a really good relationship with the National Weather Service, and Green Bay is where we get all our weather information from. And they're really good about keeping all your emergency management directors and offices within their region notified. We'll get an email in the morning if there's a possibility of severe weather that day. We might get a message the day before an email or the morning of and say, hey, heads up, you're going to want to watch for weather. You have the potential of this. What my office does then is we shoot out emails to all our first responder agencies and our hospitals, giving them the heads up, whether it's a winter storm or a tornado watch or severe thunderstorm. You need to be prepared. You might need extra staffing or staffing will have to stay over. So we pass that information along as much as we can. Once a watch is issued, then there's only 2.5 of us in my office, and we try to take turns when we can, but we watch the weather constantly. And our 911 center dispatchers are really great about keeping us informed as well. If the storm starts approaching, if we're looking at Waushara County, Wapaka, Green Lake County, and those storms are heading our way, we go into work no matter what time, and we watch the radar, and then we send out our weather spotters, either the ham radio operators, or we'll activate some of our volunteer fire departments. They go out and do storm spotting for us. Or if law enforcement aren't on any other calls, they'll go to certain spots as well. And then they start reporting what they see, which is typically wind speeds, if they can determine that, hail size, and then obviously if there is a wall cloud and if it turns into a funnel cloud or not.
Yeah, and those wall clouds, while they are beautiful to look at, in some respects, they make great visual photography, but they're scary.
They can be, and sometimes we have clouds that look like they're a funnel cloud, but they're called scud clouds. So
Scud clouds.
Yep. So some people will call the 911 center and say, "I see a funnel cloud or a tornado," and it's not. It's just a little cold air funnel coming down, but it's really not a tornado or anything that would cause any damage. So we get false reports, and that's where it gets kind of difficult. We don't want to activate the sirens unless we know 100%, because then people lose faith in the system.
Sure.
And it's sometimes a fine line, do we sound them or not? If we get reports from people, citizens who are just saying, hey, I'm driving, I see this, they haven't been through weather spotter training, we try to verify it with a trained spotter. We'll send somebody in that area and see if they can see what they're seeing. We definitely don't want to over-activate those sirens and lose their credibility.
Well, and then we're surrounded by so much water. There are water spouts to think about also.
There are water spouts, and that's another thing. Typically, a water spout will not cause damage. We've talked to the National Weather Service. I think it was a couple years ago during EAA. There was one on Lake Winnebago, and there was questions why we didn't activate the sirens. And in speaking with the National Weather Service, they didn't feel that it was something that we would need to issue a tornado warning for. Again, and it's that kind of fine balance of when do you activate them, when don't you.
Yeah.
But nobody was in danger as far as we could tell, so we didn't activate it.
Sure. Geez, I was just thinking of something and it escaped me. I find that happening more and more these days.
Me too. It might be our age. I'm not sure.
It could be. But I do remember what it was now. You are, yes, your office is based in Oshkosh, but you are responsible for all of Winnebago County.
Correct.
And that's a huge area.
It
is. How many sirens must there be in an area that size that you have to test and retest and always make sure that they're working properly and, watch the weather. I have heard some of these warnings now or watches that they'll say, sometimes like the southeast corner of Winnebago County or whatever. So you kind of have to know what part of the county you live in, but they're trying to pin it down for you as best they possibly can.
They can, and we have about 50 sirens placed throughout the county, but we're really trying to place them where there are parks, where there are schools, outdoor event places. That's where we're really sticking towards, because that is what they are intended for. So we have them in 4 zones. So if you think northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, 4 zones that we can activate them by zones, or we can activate them countywide. The National Weather Service no longer issues tornado warnings for all of Winnebago County or for the northern half of Winnebago County. They issue them by polygons. So it might be a portion of Outagamie, a portion of Winnebago, and a portion of Wapaka in this polygon. So then we try to match up our sirens, you know, to wherever the polygon is. If
Wow.
it dips a little into Oshkosh, we will activate the sirens countywide.
I don't know that I would do well in your world. Polygons.
It's not easy. I know.
Polygons. That takes me back to my, algebra days. I do remember the other thing that I was going to ask you. You said that, on mornings when there's a problem or whatever, you will get something from the National Weather Service. Is that kind of the same thing that people can get a tweet from the National Weather Service, or are they different?
The National Weather Service, it is different. The National Weather Service has a their website in Green Bay. If you look at it every morning, it'll tell you what you can expect for the day. It's a lot of the same information that we're getting, but it's a little more detailed as the day goes on for us so that we know how to respond or know what we should be looking for. But you can get the weather for the day on the National Weather Service website, and it'll tell you the circle that's around. We are in a slight risk today. These are the storm characteristics that you might be on the watch or might be under risk for. So make it a habit in the morning as you're drinking your coffee.
Sure.
Turn on the computer or go on your smartphone and check out what the National Weather Service has to say for the day.
All right. Any parting thoughts that you want to convey to people? I know we've driven home the readywisconsin.gov, the ready.gov. Get on those sites and be as prepared as you possibly can for whatever type of emergent situations may arise. Make sure your pets are you're prepared for your pets to be taken care of as well. Getting a weather radio. Alert Sense.
Alert Sense.
Sign up for that.
On my county website, correct.
Anything else?
There's so many free weather apps out there. Sign up for those free weather apps so you can see the radar as it's heading towards you. Remember, if you're outdoor events, if you attend them, a lot of times they don't have adequate shelter. So it's really up to you as an individual. Pay attention to the weather before you head to those outdoor events. Stay in touch with family members at home. And if they tell them, text me if it looks like it's going to storm. And give you the heads up to get out of there and seek shelter way before the storm comes.
Again, better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. I've got to say something here to folks, so just sit tight. So a lot of what you all see here, if you're watching us on television or on YouTube, a lot of what you see here on the local cable access channels is made available through the work of the Friends of Oshkosh Community Media, better known as OCM. And the Friends of OCM is a nonprofit group that supports Oshkosh media programming and facilities through membership, underwriting, and fundraising projects. One of those projects is the OCM card and the sale thereof, and I think we have it right there. We do. This little card offers wonderful discounts at more than 20 Oshkosh businesses, and the discounts are good for the entire year. You can get your card at Hardee's, Two Brothers Restaurant, and a number of nonprofit organizations throughout the area. If you're in doubt, you can always contact the folks here at Oshkosh Media. The cost is just $10, and that is good for the entire year. It's not like you use one of the things and they check it off and you can't use it again. So even though we're taping this in June, there's still lots of bargains and savings left to be had during the rest of 2018. So, I would highly recommend that you get that card. That's what helps make all of this possible. So I want to thank my guests from earlier from the Oshkosh Public Library. Many thanks to Linda for being here. And of course, thanks to you and the crew. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Keep your eye on us and keep your eye on the weather. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.